Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.
Hello, everyone. After seeing that clip, we are all set and ready to begin. My name is Faith Muisio, and I'm one of the program leads at Dignitas Limited, an impact organization that empowers educators to transform their schools through leadership development and instructional coaching. I'm joining us from Kenya, and I will be your host for this season. I am so thrilled to have people from all over the world join us for what promises to be an insightful conversation. The world has changed dramatically over the past 18 months due to COVID-19. The pandemic has deepened inequalities and heightened the need to focus on girls' education, especially for the world's most vulnerable, hardest to reach. Today's panel discussion is hosted by global school leaders in partnership with Allocate and Dignitas Limited. Our session title for anyone joining us right now is Enabling Gender Responsive Schools. Gender responsive schools are spaces where the safety and well-being of students is a priority. These are spaces where teaching and learning promotes gender equality, addresses gender bias, focuses on important life skills, and prepares students for long-term success in life. Gender responsive schools provide access to necessary resources as well as support and services needed by students. To help us understand what it takes to build gender responsive schools, we are joined by some fantastic speakers today. To start us off, I would like to introduce to you our first speaker, Meredith Kozak. She is a project manager and data analyst at the Girl Innovation Research and Learning Center at the Population Council. Her work primarily focuses on gender equity in education and ensuring that rigorous evidence gets into the hands of practitioners and decision makers. Meredith is a co-creator of the Evidence for Gender and Education Resource, abbreviated as EGR, which is an open access database that collates, visualizes, and highlights the alignment and gaps between current practice and research within the gender and education field. Meredith oversees the production of EGR evidence products and builds partnerships between EGR and the girls' education community. She is a co-author of the 2021 Girls' Education Roadmap, a first-of-its-kind resource that illuminates key gaps in current work on global girls' education to guide evidence-based investments. Prior to joining the Council, Meredith received a Master of Public Administration with a specialization in public and social policy from the London School of Economics and Political Science. Right now, I shall welcome Meredith to join us and share her insights.
Thank you so much, Faith. It is a great honor being here today and joining so many esteemed school leaders who are leading the response to support girls and their education in the face of COVID-19. As Faith said, my name is Meredith Kozak and I'm the project manager of EGR. EGR is a research portfolio and online database that provides insight into the current state of global girls' education programming and evidence. Earlier this year, the Girls Center at the Population Council launched the 2021 Girls Education Roadmap. This roadmap distills key insights from EGR and highlights gaps in current work on global girls' education to help guide evidence-based investments. But what's so unique and powerful about this resource is that it brings together and synthesizes 3 bodies of data that highlight who's doing what in the girls' education space, what's working where, and what are the biggest needs facing girls. These bodies of data are represented in the Venn diagram you see here. The needs section of the roadmap synthesizes current data on education and gender-related SDG indicators to highlight the greatest needs facing girls. In the practice section, we draw on the EGR database, which has documented over 300 global organizations and 600 girls' education programs to highlight who's doing what and where. This is also an open access database, so feel free to check it out yourself at eagerresource.org. And lastly, the evidence section synthesizes findings from recent systematic reviews to see what approaches may be the most effective in improving girls' enrollment, attainment, and learning. But while the roadmap isn't particularly focused on a specific country or any given context, we hope that the evidence synthesized in this report can provide guidance on what may work to improve girls' education across many settings, especially as we reopen schools and continue to grapple with the full effects of COVID-19. And as you all know, even before COVID-19, many young people, especially girls, were out of school. And even when girls were in school, it was often sometimes difficult to stay in school and gain basic skills such as literacy and numeracy. Now, as schools begin to reopen and more concrete data on the effects of the pandemic begin to emerge, we're seeing that, as predicted, many of the same barriers that undermine girls' education before the pandemic have also been exacerbated by the pandemic itself. In a recent study published by Population Council colleagues in Kenya, nearly 16% of girls and 8% of boys did not return to school in January of 2021. That is, twice as many girls did not return to school as boys. And the primary barriers that kept students from re-enrolling in schools in Kenya were economic constraints and food insecurities exacerbated by the pandemic. Similar barriers were also cited in other council studies in India, and Bangladesh, Malawi, and Niger. Though these economic barriers are faced by boys and girls alike, they tend to have more greater effects on girls' schooling. Furthermore, girls may face girl-specific barriers to education, such as child marriage, pregnancy, and the lack of safe spaces. And not all girls experience these barriers equally. Even before the pandemic, we understood that girls from the poorest households experience the lowest levels of enrollment and attainment and learning. And those inequities have intensified during the pandemic as well. From emerging data from a Population Council study from Bangladesh is finding that girls from the poorest 40% of households experience 3 times the learning loss of their wealthier counterparts. And if you're interested in learning more about this study or this data, we're actually hosting a webinar on Thursday to present these new findings. So as schools reopen, what can we do to ensure that children, especially girls, are going back to school and learning? So as a starting point to help answer this question, the roadmap assesses common approaches used in girls' education programs and their effectiveness at addressing gender-related barriers to education. To get girls back in school, addressing the barriers related to enrollment will be key. If financial barriers are present in your setting, addressing the cost of schooling through the provision of conditional cash transfers, scholarships, or school materials and uniforms are all effective evidence-based approaches to improving enrollment and attainment. Improving access to school through construction, the provision of community schools, or transportation are also effective approaches. As well as addressing food insecurity may improve enrollment rates as well. So providing food in school or as take-home rations have also been shown to be effective in improving enrollment rates. But once students are back in school, addressing issues around learning loss will be more crucial than ever before. Some of the most promising approaches to improving learning are unsurprisingly related to supporting teachers to be able to teach effectively. Aligning teaching to the various learning levels and the needs of each student is effective in improving learning rates overall. Competency level grouping is one such example of how to do this. Related to this is also supporting teachers through ongoing teacher trainings, improved school governance and accountability, and improved teacher contracts have also been shown to be effective tools in improving learning rates. On the student side of things, remedial education or tutoring for students who are struggling, merit-based scholarships, and providing food in school, or once again as take-home rations, may also be effective approaches to improve learning in some settings. Now, while all these approaches are backed by evidence, we would be remiss to overlook the practical constraints many teachers, schools, governing bodies face in implementing these approaches, as well as their cost effectiveness. For example, it might be difficult to implement a conditional cash transfer program if resources are being diverted to other COVID recovery programs. or teachers are already facing a myriad of other challenges as they return to school. There has always been a great diversity in learning levels in the classroom, but learning loss due to COVID-19 related school closures will undoubtedly increase the disparities in learning levels in any particular grade or class, making it even more challenging to align teaching with students' learning levels despite teachers' best efforts. All in all, choosing the best approach is having a clear understanding of the most important barriers to education in a given setting, or what may be most feasible. And who would be better to identify these barriers than the girls and the teachers and the other school leaders who are on the ground finding solutions to some of COVID's most pressing challenges. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to share some of our findings from the roadmap, and I hope you find some of these findings interesting as well. And I look forward to our discussion where we can exchange ideas on how we can better support girls in their educational journeys now and in the future. Thanks so much, and back to you, Faith.
Thank you so much, Meredith, for sharing with us the key highlights of the eager Girls Education Roadmap and drawing our attention to key focus areas as schools reopen and the support that is needed. I would like to remind the audience that you are free to share your reflections and questions in the chat box as you listen to our wonderful speakers. We will curate a few of these and share them with our panelists at the end so that we can be able to hear some responses in our question and answer segment. We are now going to hear from school principals who are working tirelessly to ensure their schools are responding to the challenges girls face. They will be sharing barriers to girls' education, what they have done to address the challenges and the impact that they see. To start us off is Ms. Teresia Tikoishi, who's a school leader at Naningoi Girls Primary Schools in Kenya. Ms. Tikoishi is a seasoned teacher and has been in school leadership for over 20 years. As mentioned, she leads the Naningoi Girls Boarding Primary School, which is a safe haven for rescued girls. The school is located in a rural marginalized community with a high prevalence of harmful traditional practices such as forced early marriages or female genital mutilation. She was part of a project named Kanya that sought to improve outcomes, learning outcomes for girls. Teresia has gained knowledge that has allowed her to make improvements in supporting teachers in the strengthening of child protection. Actually, efforts to make her school more gender responsive has hailed her as a community champion. Help me to welcome Ms. Teresia to share her work and what she is doing with her school. Welcome, Teresia.
Teresia, ma'am, you have to unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yes,
we can hear you now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Teresia Tikoishi. I manage Naningoi Girls Boarding Primary. It is in marginalized rural community in Kenya. The girls, they are lack role model. There are very few female teachers from the community, and also the literacy level of the community is very low, precisely 5%. Retrogressive cultural practices take a toll on barriers to girls' education. If I can mention a few, like FGM, early marriage, child labor, early pregnancy, traditional ceremonies such as age group, rites of passage, also church gathering and other recreation. They tend to take a lot of girls away from school. Another issue was gender stereotypes, whereby you find that even the books that girls use, they depict men in leadership and professional roles, while women are shown as domestic caregivers, such as nurses. Men are also depicted as powerful and assertive and intelligent, while women are portrayed as weak and passive, submissive. Unresponsive school environment was also another challenge. The aforementioned challenges were aggravated by the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which caused girls to be away from school for a long time. In view of all these challenges, solutions that we put in place, we teamed up with the teachers, friends, NGOs, and also some parents, some church leaders, and girls themselves. The aim of this collaboration was to speak about the challenge itself, which was aggravated thanks to the pandemic. We realize that you cannot do things that are happening alone. It's teamwork that will take people to that other level. We formed a discussion group with the pupils to talk about their lives and to get deeper to issues that are affecting them, so that we could build their self-awareness and self-esteem. When we realize that when their self-esteem is very low, they will perform very little and they will dislike the environment. At least we have had pregnant girls come back to school. And also those who had given birth at that very early age also had time to come back to school. They are now getting other girls from the community rushing to school by themselves to avoid early marriage. We have formed a place where these girls can stay during holidays. We are getting information from the community in case of children rights abuse, where the girls might be children rights are abused and they are not in school. Such information we are able to get them from the community. The community is coming up and realizing that girl education is very important. This information, when we get, it is assisting the authorities to help save the girls, which have seen the enrollment of the school and also the performance of this school go up. For the gender responsive school, this part deals with the infrastructure, teaching and learning material, teaching and learning methods. So there are two, learning methods and learning material. The school is a conducive place for learning. It has the pads within the compound, and also the classrooms. The classrooms are spacious, both in the class and in the dormitory. In the class, the girls are positioned at the same level. The fast learners are mixed with slow learners. You mix them in class so that they'll see that they are not segregated in terms of we are slow learner, these ones are fast learner, so that they may like the situation and the environment and also being in school. In the teaching methods, are free from gender stereotypes. I had said there above there, as in my opening speech, where I had said we elevate the gender neutral language, e.g. the use of a person, so that they may not see that men are being elevated, yet girls are being downplayed. Female character often appear in our conversation. When we are giving storytelling in the class, we form storytellings that depict women. The women come very much in their conversation, so that they see themselves, oh, so women can be in big positions. We girls can be heard, even in a play, like a play group, where we put those girls in a big position. They can speak during a meeting with the parents. The head girl can have a time to talk to the parents, and there we are developing this girl to feel that they are wanted by the community, to feel that they can do something that is accepted by the community. And when we talk of the women, like we draw a picture This one is a doctor who is a woman. When they see this, they say, oh, this one can be on ourselves. We can also do this one. They are coming up to like and to feel part of the community. If I can try to talk briefly about the role, the view of the community as to the girls, how girls are viewed by the community. They are viewed as two things. One, source of labor. Two, source of wealth. When girls are in school, and you will tell the parent, bring the school fees, bring the food, bring the soap to this child so that they can have wonderful moments. The parents and the community, many a times they don't understand that language, because a girl by culture was seen as a source of wealth. They are given up for marriage in exchange of cows. So how come you are telling us to bring things? It is this girl who should bring things to my family, not for me to sell a cow at home, a goat at home, then I bring it to the school. It is a challenge. This is where we are forced to use psychology. We are forced to use other avenues to make the parents understand that a girl must be in school and must be in a good school and learning, whereby her issues, psychological issues, are catered
Thank you, Teresia.
Okay.
Thank you, Teresia, I think, for sharing. And we hear the passion that's oozing through your experience. However, in the interest of time, we are hoping we can be able to give you another opportunity to be able to continue sharing towards the end. We have all had the efforts that Teresia is putting in addressing some of the gender stereotypes that are coming out of her school. And she has even spoken about partnerships that have been necessary to advance responsive schools. So it would also be good to hear from our second panelist now, who is Msrupavati Sambana, the District Coordinator of Social Welfare Schools in the state of Andhra Pradesh in India. Msrupavati's career started as a graduate teacher of English in the year 1993. In 2008, she was promoted as principal for a girls' institution and worked as principal till 2020. She has led many initiatives over the years, and her earnest efforts to improve girl education have been well received. She is now working as a district coordinator in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Welcome, Drrupavati, and share with us your story on what you're doing to change, to have gender responsive schools.
Ma'am, can you please unmute yourself? We can't hear you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Drrupavati Sambana, school leader from India. I am working as district coordinator in AP Social Welfare Residential Schools, Andhra Pradesh, India. Today I feel proud to be a part of this global conference where we talk about the importance of enabling gender responsive schools and share the learnings from India and Kenya. Today, I would like to share my thoughts on what is gender responsive education and why it is extremely important for the development of girl education. And also as a school leader, I will speak about some of the critical barriers which the girl students have faced during the recent COVID-19 pandemic time and how we addressed all these barriers in a very successful way. What is gender responsiveness? There are different sections of people coming from various socio-economic backgrounds, and it is important for us to understand the roles of gender and also the inequalities which are existing in our society. To address all these inequalities, continuous efforts have been made in our education system to encourage equal participation and fair distribution of benefits to both the genders. These are called the gender responsive schools, where the importance of gender equality is recognized in achieving right to education for all. It helps to support the development of girls and grow them as capable, strong enough, and self-directed women. It is the only way for girls to learn and experience the world in a very successful way. So now I want to tell some of the best practices which we are implementing in our social welfare residential schools in Andhra Pradesh. We are providing continuous career guidance to the girl students, and so they are free to design their future and choose the professions which they like most. We are providing long-term coaching for engineering and medical courses on par with 11th and 12th classes, and also encourage them to choose the professions like Navy, Defense, Air Force, Police Department, etc. We are also creating equal opportunities in co-curricular activities by arranging exclusive sports camps like archery, horse riding, and giving training in mountaineering, giving training in martial arts to girls. All these activities help the girl students to make physically fit in all fields. We are giving live examples of successful women all over the world to motivate the girl students, and also we are creating awareness among the girl students through programs like Project Shakti, Swecha, etc. So through all these best practices, our social welfare residential schools are successfully heading towards these gender responsive schools in a very successful way. We try to create such gender responsive atmosphere by motivating the girl students and creating the atmosphere of gender responsiveness. Now coming to COVID-19 pandemic effect. So the main barrier which we faced during this pandemic is a rapid decrease in the enrollment of girl students. So the main reason was that COVID-19 affected a lot of people financially. So a lot of people from low economic standards, they could not afford the education of their daughters. They are also planning to get their daughters married soon. So they are unwilling to send their children to schools after COVID-19. This was the main challenge we faced after COVID-19 pandemic effect. But this critical challenge and how we addressed it was, we visited several areas and organized awareness camps to educate the parents about the importance of girl education and the bright opportunities they would be having in future. We invited all the parents to our schools and organized teacher-parent meetings to address all the problems and motivated them to rejoin their daughters to our schools. We had one-to-one discussion with some of the parents to understand their concerns. To address all the concerns, we created a safe space in our schools for all the girls by providing proper sanitization, masks, spacious classrooms, hostel blocks, duly following social distancing, and also providing clean toilets with running water and distribution of free sanitary napkins and free textbooks, free notebooks, and balanced diet we have provided. We provided financial assistance also via scholarships raised from CSR funds. We provided psychological and emotional support to the girls who had lost their parents during this COVID-19 pandemic time to regain their strength. We also provided financial support through integrated child protection scheme to our girl students. So finally, we were able to bring back our children to the schools and decrease the dropouts and increase the enrollment of girl students with the collective efforts of all our principals, all our teachers, and also people from community. With more focus on gender responsive education system, we see a great progress in the all-round development of our girl students, and they became strongly competent in technology, innovation, academics, sports, and all fields. So many of our girl students participated and won awards in the global competitions as well. Our students participated in World Maker Fair in 2019, held at New York, US, and got appreciation from all over the world. Through all these practices, through all these efforts, our social welfare residential schools, they are heading towards gender responsive schools. We created awareness among the girl students, and through awareness programs conducted by successful women and also successful alumni of our schools. So we are succeeded to bring back the students to our schools after COVID-19 with the collective efforts of all our faculty members, district authorities, state authorities, and also people from community. So with this, I would like to conclude stating that let us all get united and support gender responsive schools. It's not only to support the girl students, but also to bring a change in the mindset of boys and also in the attitude of boys. If the boys can see girls in all fields, then only they treat them as equals to them, thus creating a society free from gender discrimination and building the safest and the most beautiful place to live in. So these are my impressions and inputs regarding these gender responsive schools, and particularly in our social welfare residential schools, we are providing all facilities like free uniforms, free textbooks, balanced diet, free distribution of free sanitary napkins.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for giving me this good opportunity. Thank you once again, all the viewers, all the organizers, for bringing up this great initiative, this good initiative that is enabling gender responsive schools. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much for Drrupavati for shining a light to the initiatives that you are implementing in the social welfare schools, and for also sharing the best practices that you have had that are replicable, and also sharing that the mindset plays such a big role when it comes to changing the society. Thank you so much. And so I would like now to invite our final panelist, Ms. L. Kiranmai, who's a school principal of A.B. Balayogi Gurukulam in India. Her career with the Andhra Pradesh Welfare Schools began as a postgraduate teacher in September 1992. As a headmistress, she has championed the cause for girls' education in her school and community and has led many initiatives towards that goal. Through her experience with Allocate Shakti program, she has focused on creating safe spaces for girls in her school and hopes to continue working with her school staff and students to ensure focus on the education of girls from marginalized communities. So welcome, Ms. Kiranmai. Take the podium and share with us the work that you are doing.
Good evening, all of you. This is Kiranmai, school leader from India. I would like to share my experience as a school leader about the barriers I found in my institutions regarding girl child education. First of all, I would like to thank Project Shakti. It helped us to understand the girl child related issues in a systematic way. We conducted a survey, and analyzing the data we received, we understood the mindset of stakeholders and to identify the challenges of girls facing in this society. The most painful matter I found in my institution was 6 of our girls from 10th grade and 12th grade got married during the COVID pandemic. Then immediately we started approaching the parents to know the reasons and to follow up. we noticed the gravity of the issue and the root causes like lack of awareness among parents and students too. I started to put my efforts addressing these issues like learning gaps occurred during pandemic by establishing village learning circles and dealing with the dropouts of child marriages by sensitizing the stakeholders, that is parents and students. The first issue, the dropouts of all our institution is due to child marriage. So I wanted to notice the reasons. I found that 3 cases, parents are in view that marriage is the best option for the safety of the children. And in one case, the father got some serious health problem and mother immediately arranged for the marriage of the child. And in 2 other cases, there is single parent, that is mother. She was pressurized from the relatives to get her daughter married. So all these parents strongly believe that the marriage is best for the safety of their children. So parents are unaware of the problems related to child marriage, either in physical or emotional aspect. During this process of dealing these cases, we are able to prevent one child marriage because the girl is an orphan and her grandmother was convinced with our counseling and stopped the marriage. And we made one student to continue her studies at the school even after marriage. And we encouraged 5 students who got married and complete their course even after marriage. And my other challenge in my institution is dealing with learning gaps. By facilitating learning during COVID-19, ours is a residential institution with 700 students, and we found a large gap occurred in the education of the children. So we started WhatsApp groups, creating with all class students with the help of class teachers, and try to reach out the students and continue teaching learning process. But during this process, we found out 40% of the parents do not have smartphones and 10% of parents have serious network issues in their villages. So then at that time, we got an opportunity from our head office to start a pilot project called Village Learning Circles to facilitate learning of all classes in their respective villages during the pandemic. So as a part of our program, my staff started collecting data from 185 villages where our students are residing. And we identified 40 villages where we can start a village learning circle because more than 3 children of our institution are residing at that village. So we started speaking to the parents and convinced them about the plan of starting a village learning circle at their village and requested their cooperation. The team of head office also involved in the process to guide us in taking all COVID protocols. We convinced the village volunteers also and added their mobile numbers to the group, and 18 of our teachers took the responsibility of these 40 village learning circles and sharing the mentorship. After consulting the parents, learning circles were conducted either at home of any student or any community building as per the availability. We created groups of students belong to the same village and made the highest grade student as the leader of that group. And in some villages, educated parents came forward to take the responsibility of monitoring the VLCs. And in some villages, our old students came forward to take that responsibility. My team of teachers prepared the syllabus and shared with the groups. Then the children learned in comfort and safety at their homes. In the beginning, we found it challenging as we are concerned about the health risks involved, but with safety protocols and strict rules, we organized village learning circles successfully during the year 2020 and 21. And major takeaways I had from this program was leadership skills were developed among students and made them ready to take up the challenge of maintaining groups with all COVID precautions and encouraging peer group learning. And the second one is community participation was found as volunteers and villagers came forward to take part in this program by allotting space in their community buildings, schools and temples, and providing resources like sanitizers. Strengthened parent-teacher relationship also found in this program. This program program allowed us in gaining the trust and hope of parents, which made our efforts successful. Most of the parents really stayed throughout the session and helped us giving their sessions. Team spirit among our staff also developed. They learned to multitasking skills by dealing different classes at a time. All our team members got great support and suggestion from our head office, and we got the satisfaction of working for a good cause, and that made our job fruitful. As our project of village learning circles became successful during the year 2019 and 20, it was extended to 20 other schools in Andhra Pradesh during the year 2020 and 21. And after reopening of the schools, I started sensitizing girl students within the institution and established some partnerships. We encouraged girls to play skits, write songs, draw pictures, prepare PPTs, and exhibited all these art forms before the parents. And it worked well. The parents got awareness about the issues, and it influenced them to take a strong decision to eradicate child marriage and to encourage girl child education. And after attending the Project Shakti program, 6 of our staff, those who are alumni of our own institutions, started to work as ambassadors for women empowerment. I am also grateful to 2 NGOs, Mrs. Anuradha and Mrs. Ajita, the members of Atrocities Committee and an advocate. They took sessions to the students of our school with a team of police and lawyers and explained the students about the child rights, women rights, and Disha and Nirbhaya Acts and child abuse, etc. matters. There was a program called Smart Girl Program, which was conducted in our institution. Here, the girls are exposed to the different opportunities available for them and also the different threats they have to face in lives in future. Here, the girls have a safe space to discuss sensitive issues like menstrual hygiene, growth and development problems, teasing, child abuse, etc. With such steps, we are able to create awareness among students about the girl-child related issues. And my suggestion to the school leaders from my experience is that coordination and cooperation are the key points to work with teams, and recognize and appreciate the small gesture of team which really works. With shared responsibility, shared commitment, and shared vision, we can do wonders. As a woman, I feel privileged to share my experience with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just love it when you get into the mood. You're very passionate about what you have done. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Kiran Mai, sharing your approach around the village learning circles, the mentorships, and the programs that you have learned from, and concluding it by saying that shared commitment is very important. I would really want to thank so much all our speakers for sharing so openly and with so much detail. We have learned so much. We have learned about the critical barriers to girls' education, and we see that there are quite a bit of similarities across the presenters from Kenya and India. And we have also seen that, the efforts that they have put in to provide solutions, and where partnership with the community is coming out as a very clear way, and that it is needed if we are going to have gender responsive schools. And we have heard about the positive impact that is really changing the landscape for girls' education. Thank you so much. So right now, in the few remaining minutes, we will move to our question and answer segment. We have received so many questions from the audience, and we have tried to consolidate this and be able to, we shall distribute them to our panelists, and we will have them just answer a few in the interest of time. And my first question will go to Meredith. You shared with us about the process, the mapping. How might we better integrate evidence into common practice? Could you share this with us in a minute or so? Meredith.
Yeah, thank you, Faith, and wonderful question. So in the roadmap, what we also try to suggest is, all these approaches are wonderful, but what are real tangible ways that our practitioners or school leaders or researchers can integrate these practices into, or evidence into, their practices? And we heard so many examples today of many school leaders doing that. So one thing that we suggested from our research is combining efforts used to build reading skills or literacy skills with content and stories or reading materials that integrate gender within those, providing gender, like positive gender pictures, trying to negate some of those stereotypes that exist in our communities. So that's one wonderful example of how we can integrate evidence into some practice. Another piece that I also heard was exploring opportunities to add food provision to existing efforts to make school more affordable, or providing materials or textbooks or uniforms. That's also a wonderful approach as well, though I also want to recognize the costs that also accompany that. Another piece that was also wonderful and helpful is planning trainings in gender sensitive pedagogy. So to include training on improved pedagogy and also those competency level groupings. And we heard some wonderful examples of our school leaders doing that with their staff and with their other teachers to ensure that we are creating these gender responsive and sensitive school environments for girls. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us those practical steps on how we can be better, we can better integrate evidence into common practice. I would like to share this particular question to Ma'am Msrupavati. You did mention about mindsets. Could you be able to share with us very briefly if you have seen any change in your own mindsets or belief system given your learnings from Project Shakti?
Yes, ma'am. Project Shakti has brought a lot of change in the mindset of our girl students. We started empower the girl students after the program of Project Shakti, and the students are also participating in so many events, and also they are ready to take the courses like Defense, Navy, Air Force, and also Police Department. So we are creating awareness among the girl students through this program, Project Shakti. It's very, very useful to our girl students, and we are creating a safe space to our girl students in our schools through this Project Shakti. It's so useful to our girl students, and also we are starting to empower our girl students through this Project Shakti. It's so useful, ma'am. Thank you, Project Shakti, organizers of Project Shakti, ma'am. Thank you.
Directed to Madame Teresia. Given what we have had so far, what gives you hope for the coming months?
Okay. Yeah, there is great hope based on the immediate time when we were closing and the things that we had put in place. We have got a calendar of events. We have got a plan that we have come up with, and I've got a team, a team from the villages, a team within the school. I'm ready with the leadership of that area, using the authority and also the parents. I have got a lot of positive response from the stakeholders, from the people of the church, from the children themselves, and even they are calling me and texting saying that when we open the school, we'll come in big number. My hope is that I'll be able to receive them and be able to put up the programs in a very conducive manner. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. As we close out, once again, thank you to all our panelists. But before we do that, we would like to share 3 key takeaways to help us collectively accelerate our work in the area of nurturing gender responsive schools. And these are our takeaways. That 1, In the context of COVID-19, additional effort is required to support the continued education of girls, especially social emotional support. It is very important. Our second main takeaway is there's need to contextualize engagement efforts with community members to ensure girls have an enabling environment outside of school. And thirdly, as schools reopen, there's a need to have a plan to support teachers on gender responsive pedagogy. So those are our three main takeaways from this conversation that we have had with our panelists. We do hope that this conversation has been insightful to all that have been listening in from around the world. We want to extend our deepest gratitude to all of you who took time to be able to come in, to join, and to be able to learn or even enhance their knowledge around gender responsive schools. We would also like to sincerely thank our school principals who are preparing tirelessly for school reopening and recovery. We thank you all for your work, and thank you everybody. We want to wish you a very great day, a very great evening, a very great morning from wherever you have listened from the world. Thank you so much, and bye for now.
Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it has a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.